Fade into board members seated at table.
Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call the regular Board of Education meeting to order on June 23rd, a warm June 23rd, 2025. First thing we do is the Pledge of Allegiance, and the flag's right over here.
Everyone stands for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Everyone returns to their seats. Jim Batson.
Okay, can we have a roll call, please, Carol?
Nina Austin.
Here.
Jim Batson.
Here.
Raul Deschmuck.
Here.
Doug Legal. Lisa Hessel.
Here.
Middleish Cotwall.
Here.
West Poland.
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum. We notice Doug Legal's out, but we'll look forward to him returning next month. Going to review the agenda real quickly. Under communications, we'll have some student recognition. Got quite a few students here. Invitation for public comment. I don't believe we have options for a teacher union and a ESP union report, but I don't believe anyone's going to be here for that. We'll see. We'll give them the opportunity. FOIA requests, superintendent report. Then we have a consent vote agenda. These are things reviewed earlier in the month during our committee meetings. We have a few action items, review of closed session meetings. This happens every 6 months, approximately. We have payment of our member dues to approve, employment of employees, some educational tour requests, approving an audit engagement for the district, some student activity funds transfers, just some standard things, approval authorization of, I'll let Dan explain these. It's some financial things here. Adoption of the FY26 budget, which is always exciting. And then we have some board policies for a first reading and an operational expenditure report. Have an opportunity for board comments and events. Not too sure who, it's the summer, so there's not a lot going on. I don't really have anything from the IASB, anything from CEDAW. Okay, we'll have a little quick CEDAW report, and then that should do it. So let's get into the agenda. First on the agenda is student recognition. Very exciting student recognition.
Ray Albin approaches the podium.
So good evening, everyone. It's my pleasure today to introduce our state championship from Libertyville High School, the 2025 baseball team. A little over a week ago, captured the championship at the 4A level, and they are here today, and we're going to be able to meet them and our coaches as well. And it's just been wonderful since that time, since that happened. All this really transpired after school ended. So really all this has happened, the championship happened 3 weeks after the school year ended. So it was wonderful to see so many people that were able to go to the playoffs throughout the entire playoff run. And then just this past Saturday, we had sort of a ceremony at the Libertyville Stadium to recognize the team and their wonderful accomplishments. I always say that every varsity season starts with many, many goals and one dream, and it's extremely rare sometimes for that dream to be realized, but in this case it was. And so no further introduction needed, but I'd like to bring Matt Thompson on up to talk about our state championship baseball team.
All right. Thank you so much for having us here. It's been quite a whirlwind. Still kind of hard to believe every day. You wake up and you watch another video of the same event from a different angle. And you're like, wow, that really happened. And then, you know, the trophy's sitting on my island, you know, for a couple days. And then it's been traveling around. Some cool stories. I know one of our early players took it home and his grandpa got to see it and they got to hang out with the trophy for a little bit. So it's kind of got like the Stanley Cup appeal to it. It was at Sports 11 today. It'll be kind of roaming around tomorrow too. And but you know, really just I can't thank the players enough. You know, if you came to the rally, I had a lot of thank yous, but really, it's just about them. They're the guys that we as a coaching staff are rooting for every single time they're out in the field. And you dream of it for them, and to see the joy in their faces and how much happiness it brought them. And it's something they're never going to forget. They'll have this, nothing can take it away from them. And so the coaching staff, we're really proud of them. And, excited that we got to celebrate and bring home the first state title for LHS. So that's all I got for today. Oh, sure. Okay. So coaches, why don't you guys come on up? I'll introduce the ones that are here, and then the rest of our coaching staff as well. So we have Dan Goris, our pitching coach. Yeah. Coach Carlucci, Tom Carlucci, volunteer coach. And we have Pat Kelly, jack of all trades, coaching all over the place. And want to honor the other coaches that really make it possible as well. So our JV coaches are Jimmy Ori and Dan Harrington. And then our Frosh and our Frosh coaches are Josh Albers, Nick Bonk, and Matt Friello, who couldn't be here tonight. So those guys also do a great job. So round of applause for them. All right, so I'm going to call each player up. I know there's a few that couldn't make it tonight. So I'm going to call them up and give them their certificate here. So Thomas Bunick, come on up. His brother is not here tonight. That's Brady Bunick. So we'll take that one. Jack Sinar. Joey Chulo. Joey Chulo. Harrison Clarkson could not be here. He actually moved the day after the championship. He's out in New York, so we'll give it to him when he comes back in July. So you want to hold on to him? Yeah. Nick Farmakis. Anthony Fry. Judson Grabe. Tommy Gretz. Matthew Hara. Nico Harper. Couldn't be here tonight either. Carson Holmes. Joshua Holst is not here tonight, and I think it's with special recognition to honor him because today he shipped out for the Air Force Academy. So he's John Dior? Yeah. Cole Lockwood. Chase Lockwood. Michael Joey Morel. Axel McKnight. Bodie Rohrbach. Quinn Chambo. Zachary Seiler. Johnny Sellers. BJ Street Heron. Mason Schrader. Steven Strelo. Trevor Wallace. Ryan Wilberding. And Brock Williams couldn't be here tonight, and hopefully everybody got theirs. All right, good deal.
Okay, we're going to attempt to take a picture with everybody.
Students receive certificates and takes pictures with school board members for about the next 30 seconds.
So what you guys just go call guys here, and then like we'll just get down and like.
This is awkward. Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Students receive certificates and takes pictures with school board members for about the next 30 seconds.
Put this down.
Unless you're my size. All right, everybody up here.
I got them trained. They look at this one.
Thanks, guys.
Congratulations, guys.
Thank you.
Congratulations, everybody. Great job. That's so cool. Oh, yes, yeah. Before we move on, I have a couple people I also want to recognize. During this past year, the district has been led by co-interim superintendents, Ray Lechner and Becky Nelson here. Is Ray on the line? He hasn't joined yet. Okay, so if he joins us, that's great. But I wanted to publicly thank these two individuals. It's, people think about interim superintendents in a situation where you're in need of a new superintendent, you got to go through the recruiting process and whatnot. It makes sense that you need somebody in here that's qualified to carry on that role. But these two individuals went so far beyond just carrying on that role. They actually helped our district, helped us in many ways to heal, helped us through the process of recruiting for what we feel is going to be a fabulous superintendent coming up here in July 1, and helped in that transition for Dr. Schaefer to come on board and really be prepared to take over the leadership of this district. I can't thank these two folks enough. Becky is one of us. She's a local, lives in the area, and it's just been such a pleasure to work with Ray Lechner and Becky Nelson. I'd give Ray his, but he's tied up elsewhere, but we'll make sure we get that to him. But we have a little something for the two of them.
It's truly been an honor and a pleasure to serve. And we come to the end of this with the feeling that knowing that you are in really good hands and really excited for the future. So thank you for everything. And pass me the Kleenex, please. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next up, invitation for public comment. We have nobody that's signed in. Is there anyone that wishes to address the board briefly? Come on up.
Gwen Jansen approaches the podium.
Hi, good evening. Thank you again for the opportunity to speak. I know you're all aware of my concerns that I've raised regarding the aquatics facility use at VHHS. I just want to take a moment to make one thing perfectly clear, and that's that what I say really doesn't matter, in case you didn't know. What I want really also doesn't matter. I'm just a parent, I'm just a community member, and I'm not elected to the board. I didn't swear an oath of fiduciary duty to the District 128 taxpayers, and I didn't swear an oath to serve the best interest of the D128 students. So I really don't expect you to make decisions based on what I say, and I don't expect you to make decisions based on what any non-district feeder program says or wants, or what benefits them, really. I just hope that you look to determine what's in the best interest of our district finances, our athletic programming, and equity of opportunity to support our students. Please take the time to talk to and gather feedback from the people who do matter in this, the people who know what our students and buildings need. Talk to Mr. Dan Stanley about the state of our facilities and finances and what we can and should be doing to protect our valuable but aging aquatics facility. No one wants to end up in another situation where a sudden catastrophe like the recent HVAC disaster above the pool forces an expensive project that affects our facility use and diverts funds that are earmarked for other projects. Talk to Mr. Jim Pardon, the head of aquatics at VHHS. No one has a better grasp of what our VHHS aquatics programming and facilities need. Loop in our two athletic directors, Mr. Woods at LHS and Mr. Cooper here at VHHS starting next week, and Dr. Young, and of course, Dr. Schaefer when he takes up his position next week. In other words, don't take my word for it. Please just seek to find a way to uphold your oath and serve our schools and our students equitably. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Pause for the public.
Okay, we will
Jim Batson.
move on. And as mentioned before, I don't believe we have a teacher union report tonight. Nobody, and anybody from the education support professionals
No.
in attendance? No, okay. Just to make sure they have the opportunity. We had some FOIA requests there in your board packet to observe. We do have a coming up next then a superintendent's report.
Becky Nelson.
Earlier this month, I received a letter of thanks from Dan Lee, Assistant Executive Director of the IHSA, related to the 2025 boys tennis finals that were hosted in part here at Vernon Hills High School. This is a quote from him. "Your district's contributions to the tournament are greatly appreciated, so please share our gratitude with your building administrators, athletic department, and Buildings and Grounds Department for their efforts in running the tournament. We are so grateful that your school could assist us in enriching the educational experience through interscholastic competition." So thank you to everyone at VHHS for helping make the state tennis tournament a success. Also, congratulations to our Special Olympic athletes who competed at the Illinois State Summer Games at Illinois State University last week. 5 athletes competed in track and bocce. They brought home 1 gold and 1 silver in track and a bronze in bocce before the heat caused cancellation of the rest of the events. Congratulations to Elizabeth Karsten, Abi Nowaki, Richie Aaron, Chase Miller, and Max Zinder. And of course, a huge thanks to our dedicated coaches, Andy Compton, Corey Atwell, and Elena Chiotti, who reported that they could not be more proud of these amazing athletes. And finally, Ray and I would like to thank you for the opportunity of serving District 128 this year. With appreciation to Mary Toderick for the idea, to ChatGPT for some words, and to John Denver for the tune. Our time has come, the year flew by. With every step we reach the sky. Together we have grown in every way. You gave your hearts, you gave your time, each school, each child, for every time. This year has meant the world to us always. So goodbye, dear board and friends. Our time comes to an end. We'll miss you so. Thank you for the opportunity to serve District 128, and we look forward to the next chapter of this district with Dr. Schaefer. Thank you all.
Jim Batson.
Okay, thank you for that.
Momentary pause.
I was forewarned there was going to be a surprise there, so that's wonderful. Moving on, consent vote agenda. things that were reviewed earlier. Can we have first of all, anyone feel the need to pull anything out of the consent vote agenda? Okay, just wanted to give that opportunity. Can we have a motion and a second, please?
Hessel, I move to approve the consent vote agenda.
Poland second.
Okay, any discussion? Roll call, please.
Austin.
Aye.
Batson.
Aye.
Deschmuk.
Aye.
Hessel.
Aye.
Cotwell.
Aye.
Poland.
Aye.
Well, motion passes. Moving on for action items, we have a semi-annual review of closed session minutes. And basically what this does is every 6 months, we have to confirm that the closed session minutes should remain closed and are kept on file for that the coming 6 months. And then we do this all over again. So I need a motion and a second to that the need for confidentiality still exists for all current closed session minutes and those listed below and shall remain in the closed file.
Kotwal so moved.
Poland second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Batson.
Aye.
Deschmuk.
Aye.
Hessel.
Aye.
Cotwall.
Aye.
Poland.
Aye.
Austin.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Next on the agenda. Actually, this should be, I'm thinking committee chairs. These are coming out of the P&P. So this would be,
I think, why don't you roll this
yeah,
time?
yeah,
We
I'm
can
just
do
going to
that
roll
next time.
because yeah, okay, let's go. IASB member dues, annual dues for the Illinois Association of School Boards. Go ahead, have a motion, please.
Poland, I move to approve the 2025-2026 IASB member dues in the amount of $10,727.
Deshmukh second.
Okay, any questions, comments? Roll call, please.
Deschmuk.
Aye.
Hessel.
Aye.
Cotwall.
Aye.
Poland.
Aye.
Austin.
Aye.
Batson.
Aye. Motion passes. Next on the agenda, employment of employees. These are a handful of new employees to approve that were not part of the discussion earlier in the month, so did not appear on the consent agenda. So can I have a motion, please, to approve these?
Poland, I move to approve the.
second.
Okay. Any questions, comments? Okay, roll call, please.
Hessel.
Aye.
Cotwall.
Aye.
Poland.
Aye.
Austin.
Aye.
Batson.
Aye.
Deschmuk.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Educational tour requests. We have 3 additional tour requests that came in following the committee meetings. We have a volleyball trip for LHS and a couple VHHS, a band and a choir trip coming up to approve. So can we have a motion?
Deshmukh so moved.
Austin second.
Okay, any questions or comments? Okay, roll call, please. Mhm.
Cotwall.
Aye.
Poland.
Aye.
Austin.
Aye.
Batson.
Aye.
Deschmuk.
Aye.
Hessel.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next on the agenda is the audit engagement for the FY25. So, Dan, just a super brief overview. This was discussed earlier in the month.
Yeah, it was discussed at committee. This is with Miller Cooper to perform our audit for fiscal year 25, which will be over in 7 days. And so there's the basic fee. Then we have to do a single audit because of the amount of federal revenue we receive, and then other reporting requirements that we have to do to engage with them. So the total would be $62,500.
Okay.
Hessel, I move to approve the fiscal year 25 audit engagement with Miller Cooper in the amount of $62,500.
Poland second.
Any questions or comments? Okay, roll call, please.
Poland.
Aye.
Austin.
Aye.
Batson.
Aye.
Deschmuk.
Aye.
Hessel.
Aye.
Cotwall.
Aye.
Motion passes. We have a transfer of student activities. I'll let Dan explain briefly what this is all about.
Yeah, so we have a plethora of student activity accounts throughout the district between both buildings. You would think that if you want to just move money from one to another, it would be pretty easy. However, there's Illinois administrative code that ask for the board to approve those. And so you've got those included. It's really just old funds that have been sitting there for a long time, transferring them into the most next kind of fund.
Okay.
Motion to approve the transfer of funds from the unused accounts to the accounts of current clubs as listed.
Poland second.
Okay. Any questions or comments? Okay. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Austin.
Aye.
Batson.
Aye.
Deschmok.
Aye.
Hessel.
Aye.
Cotwall.
Aye.
Poland.
Aye.
Motion passes. The next one, I'll let Dan do a brief overview of this one as well.
Yeah, this one we did not have at the FNF. I just missed it. But what this is in our board policy that we require to review and approve the list of depositories, investment managers, dealers, brokers that we work with. And so we really work with three. Libertyville Bank and Trust is our main bank for our checking accounts and other things. PMA Financial Network does some investing for us, and Fifth Third Securities does the bulk of our long-term investing. And so those are the companies we've been using. Those are the ones we would like to keep using.
And this happens every year. We have to reaffirm this list. Okay. Can we have a motion, please?
Poland, I move to approve the list of authorized depositories, investment managers, dealers, and brokers for Community High School District 128.
Kotwal second.
Okay. Any questions, comments? Roll call, please.
Pause for note taking. Pause for roll call.
Excuse me. Batson.
Aye.
Deschmok.
Aye.
Hessel.
Aye.
Cotwall.
Aye.
Poland.
Aye.
Austin.
Aye.
Motion passes. And now the big one, the FY26 budget. Dan, any snippets of wisdom here that we want to?
Just that this is a culmination of really more than 6 months worth of work throughout our system, from starting really with students signing up for classes and then culminating into figuring out what are the final costs for everything. And so we believe we have everything in here. The total budget is 119 million. The operating budget is 109. So we have about 9.6 million in there for capital projects, which is the rest of the cafeteria and plus a few other potential projects coming up this fiscal year that we might have to do depending on our life safety report with LHS and stuff like that. So that's more of a placeholder, but that's really what makes up the budget. And there's more information in there of what changed. There weren't a lot of changes from the tentative budget, more minor things as we're just trying to double check all of our numbers.
Can we start with a motion in a second?
Hessel, I move to adopt the fiscal year 26 budget as presented.
Poland second.
Any questions or comments? I know this has been going on a long time, and the next cycle, the newer board members will have far more involvement with the next budget. But so let's move on with this, and let's have a roll call.
Deschmok.
Aye.
Hessel.
Aye.
Cotwall.
Aye.
Poland.
Aye.
Austin.
Aye.
Batson.
Aye. Okay, motion passes. A couple of discussion items. We
Actually, if I don't mind, with that,
Sure.
just a reminder, every board member has to sign the budget cover sheet. So it's not just a few people, everybody has to sign when you're done. So just please remember to do that.
everybody that voted. We have
Everybody that
one
voted.
absent.
Sorry, everybody that voted.
Okay, so
needs to sign.
we don't have to go find Doug later.
Yeah.
Okay. Board policy first reading. We have a list of policies. This was briefly discussed, but it's basically the first reading. These will come up again for a second reading and adoption next month, but just as an official acknowledgement of the first reading of these policy adjustments. Most of them were minor, as you may recall. So just going through that process.
Nina Austin.
Can I ask a question?
Mm-hmm.
Could you just explain, give me some information on the state of Tennessee versus Cardona and why that went reversed from 24 to 21?
Brian Kelly.
So, so there was in the Title IX regulations that regulate how we conduct a Title IX harassment investigation with the the previous administration approved the new regulations that we follow, and our policies were based off of those Title IX regulations on assigning a Title IX coordinator to who does the investigation, and how the process works. In the previous process, but what we now are reverting back to, the process, the process takes a lot longer to conduct a Title IX investigation, in that anyone that is involved in the investigation has to be notified in writing. There are certain people that are the only ones that could be an investigator. I'm the Title IX coordinator overseeing the investigation, and you have investigators. They then have to report their findings to normally like the principal. The principal then will make a decision on that. And then the superintendent is really the appellate. So everyone has specific roles. And sometimes that may take a while because of the communication that has to go between anyone that's involved in the investigation. So the previous administration put together Title IX regulations to decrease some of that paperwork, but there was other things in that law that kind of were all together. And so when the Tennessee decision came down, it basically reversed, for us, it reversed our policy on how we investigate matters. And all of our policies that are listed are kind of all tied in together. And so that's why there were a lot of, although they were minor changes, is a big change in how things are run, because there's legal references and cross references to every single policy and then ways they were named. So I can give you more information and send you, like, I think some of the legalese of that decision and how that affects, if you want to.
You don't have to.
Yeah.
I was just kind of curious.
But that's kind of how it affects us, that a lot of those changes change the language that we have to use, but really it affects our how we investigate like a Title IX investigation.
Yeah. So it's basically, it's fair to say that we reverted back to previous.
We reverted
set of
back to
rules.
a training that we all went through on
Yeah.
how to do investigations. We then were retrained when the new ones just went into effect a year and a half ago, and now we're
Now
reverting,
we're reverting
back
back.
to.
Yeah. Okay.
And we'll actually have to give some refreshers to a lot of our administration, on those steps again when the school year starts.
Yeah. And as part of this process, these will come up again at the committee meeting next month, and then they'll come up for the final
Which
vote.
is all on the same night.
Yeah, which is actually all on the same night. Yeah, next month.
Nina Austin.
If I could also, if you could give a little bit more information about the C-235 access to electronics update to address AI.
Brian Kelly.
Sure. So one of the things that it does say in the in this update is looking at what your district, the school district, has in place for guidelines for students and staff. So this past year, we convened Dr. Tom Clennis and I, Temple Murphy, we convened a group of students and staff and really started diving into artificial intelligence and the use of it in ethical and responsible use of that in our district. One of the things that we found was that we were kind of waiting on some more guidance from the state or from, committees that were being put together, but their recommendations were going to be slow coming and maybe not until this next year. So our group convened and we put together our own AI use guidelines for both students and staff, which we then presented to the board, this past year. And really that the AI, they're used in a manner that is to assist with both academic for the students and professional work. And it's our duty, I think, to promote its ethical and responsible use. You can't just turn your head and say AI is going to go away or we have to ignore it. And so we really put together guidelines that we shared with the board and then we share with our students and staff. This coming year, we'll have to kind of look at those again, but we will share that again with our students and our staff on using those tools properly.
Yeah, a number of states have produced some guidance, be it, policies and or just guideline documents
Yep.
or whatnot. Illinois is not in the forefront of that, not because of, they're not trying to be. It's just they're being more methodical, I believe, is
Correct.
what's happening. But many districts are doing very similar things with, some guidance documents that we have internally here at each district. It's just, it would be nice to have some kind of more consistent.
Yeah, and I believe, and we obviously used a lot of guidance that came out at other levels. One of the things that we have tried to do, I think, in both this, these guidelines and also previous guidelines on the, proper use of electronic networks, we don't try to pigeon ourselves into, certain software, certain hardware. We really try to, allow if things grow over time and change. Otherwise, we'll be updating our guidelines all the time. And I think that we have done a good job over the years, our staff, of putting in guidelines really that will stand the test of time. But we will have to, as AI progresses, we'll have to keep looking at those. But it was a team of teachers, staff, students that I think were on both sides of the fence with AI. Some that were, they were, at the forefront and really wanted, and some that were pushing back and had issues with maybe how students had used AI and were coming different lens. But really, that group came together and I think put together a good set of guidelines for our students and staff.
Dr. Gilliam and Dr. Colentis gave a really informative presentation at the May 2024 PMP. So you can go into board docs and watch and check out the slide deck.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything else? Okay, we'll see these again next month. And then for the discussion, we have the operational funds expenditure report. This is a standard report we get.
This is a new thing for this school year. So the state,
it's not a standard. It's not what I thought it was.
Yeah, the state passed a new law that requires us to do this analysis based on kind of the state's guidance, figuring out basically if a school district has more than 250% fund balance, basically you have to generate a plan to how are you going to get under 2.5 times your annual expenditures. And so that's what that is. And so we put the numbers into the calculation. We are not anywhere close to 2.5 times. And so there's nothing we have to do. However, we still have to present this written report to you. You don't have to prove anything. You don't have to do anything. This just has to be presented at a board meeting. And it is now so presented.
Thank you for that clarification. Anyone else need clarifying? Because I sure did. Okay. Thank you. Moving on for information, board comments and events. Anyone have anything interesting? I know it's summertime, so there's not as many things going on. IASB report, we really have, with the exception of the Lakes Executive Committee did meet over this past month, and we're doing some planning for the meetings, the division meetings for next year, coming up to fall and the spring meeting. More to come on that. CEDAW?
Nina Austin.
Well, I had my first governance meeting a few weeks ago, so I just kind of wanted to go over a couple items. CEDAW's interim co-superintendents, Dr. G. Hackett and Dr. Tim Thomas, will continue to work with CEDAW in this shared role in 25-26 school year. And then the interim co-business officers will also stay on for another year. And the cooperative will be beginning the process of seeking a new permanent superintendent and chief school business officer in this coming months. CEDAW has been reporting each month and at the quarterly governing board meetings on the targeted areas of focus of its continuous improvement plan. And their efforts have resulted in many positives, including a new website, more consistent and clear communication with staff and member districts, work towards more transparent financial collaboration with member districts, and an increased positive culture across the district. Lastly, Kara Benjamin actually shared in a recent spring board board meeting that over the past 2 years, CEDAL had identified significant concerns related to cooperatives' finances and long-term financial health. While this information is not new to our community per se, the fiscal year 26 budget includes a 17% increase in tuition costs and a 9% increase in operations and maintenance funds, and a 4.4% decrease in major medical insurance costs. With member district participation, the cooperative will continue to identify ways to sustainable financial practices this summer and in the coming year, which will likely result in recommendations or changes to the joint articles of agreement in the coming year. That's
Thank you.
updates.
Thank you for that, for the report and for the work you do on behalf of our district for CEDAL. That's very important.
What's the timeline for the search on the permanent
In the next few
superintendent?
months.
Oh, they're going to start the search?
Yeah, they're starting midway.
So the interim will be for this school year 25, 26, and then, got it. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? We see a list of future agenda items there coming up in our July meetings. And just as a reminder, our July meetings are all combined on one night. So we'll have our 2 committee meetings followed by the regular board meeting, which will happen on July 28th. So anything else for the good of the order? Okay, I need a motion to adjourn.
Hessel, so moved.
Austin, second.
We just need a voice vote, right? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
No.
Okay. Meeting adjourned.
Fade to District 128 logo. Fade to black. End of meeting.